Hello everyone. In this part of the video, we are going to be talking about how we add and subtract fractions. Now, when you're adding and subtracting fractions, the first step is to rewrite all the fractions so that they have the same denominator. So using the same kind of method that we used in part one, we'll start out by finding the least common multiple of all the fractions we're adding and subtracting. Step number two is then to rewrite all of the fractions so that they have a denominator equal to this least common multiple. Once they have the same denominator, all you have to do to add or subtract the fractions is add or subtract their numerators. And then put the result of this addition or subtraction of the numerators over this common denominator that you had in step 4. And then, if you can, it's a good idea to try and simplify your answer. Let me show you what I mean in an example. Suppose that someone asked me to calculate 1/3 added to another 2/3. Let's represent this problem using a picture. If I have over here 1/3, which I could represent in a picture by taking a pizza, cutting it into 3 pieces, and shading in 1 to indicate that I have 1 out of 3 of the pieces of this pizza. And if I had over here on the side, cut the pizza into 3 pieces, and here I have 2 out of those 3 pieces, 2 out of 3. And if I add together this 1 piece and this remaining 2 pieces, then in total I would have 3 out of those 3 pieces of the pizza. Just take this slice, stick it in here, take this slice in here, take this slice in here. In total, I would have 3 out of the 3. I would have 3/3 of a pizza, one full pizza at that point. And so that corresponds to, if you have two fractions with the same denominator already, then all you have to do is add the two numerators together. Add the 1 and add the 2, and you have 1 plus 2, you have 3 slices whose size is given by this common denominator of 1/3. And then I can simplify this result. 3 divided by 3 would just be 1. One full pizza from this combination. Now, if you're dealing with a problem like this one, 1/2 minus 1/4, where your fractions don't have the same denominator at the start, then the situation's a little bit like this one. Here I have 1/2 of a pizza. Cut the pizza into 2 pieces and shade in one of them. And my goal is to take away minus 1/4 of the pizza, which I can represent by cutting the pizza into 4 pieces and shading in one of them. Now, if I have half of a pizza and I want to take away 1/4 of a pizza, I'm running into a problem doing that because right now these pieces aren't the same size. Because these fractions have different denominators, the pieces have different sizes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially cut the first pizza so that the slices in the first pizza are the same size as the slices in the second pizza. I'll make another cut right on through, cut it right in the middle. And now instead of thinking of I have 1/2 of a pizza, I can think about this as instead having 2/4 of a pizza. And if I have 2/4 of a pizza and I remove 1/4 from that pizza, then all that's left is that one remaining quarter that I have not removed. So the result of this subtraction, 1/2 minus 1/4, 2/4 minus 1/4, the result of that would be 1/4 remains. So when we go through this process of adding and subtracting fractions, these first two steps that we do to make sure all the fractions have the same denominator is the step of making sure that all the pizza slices in our problem have exactly the same size. And once we're dealing with slices all of the same size, then you just have to do the arithmetic on the number of slices, which is indicated by the numerator. 2 slices minus 1 slice remains. 1 slice added to 2 slices, 3 slices remain. So that's why we go through this process with fractions, of giving them the same denominator and then doing the addition and subtraction just on the two numerators. Let's do another example. Somebody says to me, I want to take 4/3 and I want to combine it with 1/6. What's the result? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two quantities and I'm going to rewrite them so that they have the same denominator. In other words, I'm going to make some slices into these pizzas so that all the pieces of both pizzas are exactly the same size, so that it makes sense to combine those slices. So the first thing that I will do is I will figure out what is the smallest number that works as a multiple of both 3 and 6 in this problem. If I list the multiples of 3, I get 3 and then 6, but 6 is a multiple of 6 as well. So 6 will work as a common multiple for both denominators, and I will try to get both fractions to have a denominator of 6. Now 1/6 already has the correct denominator. The only one that needs adjustment is 4/3. And to transform 4/3 so that it has a denominator of 6 instead, I'll multiply both the top and the bottom by 2, giving me 8/6. Now that my first fraction has been rewritten to have the same denominator as the second fraction, I can take that 8/6 and combine it with 1/6 to give me 9/6, adding the two numerators over the common denominator. 8 slices plus 1 slice, in total 9 slices, and the denominator just tells me how big the slices are. So I have here 9/6. This is the result of the addition. And the next thing that I will do is I will check to see if I can simplify my answer. 9/6. Is there a number that can be divided out of both 9 and 6? It looks like both of these numbers contain a 3 that can be divided out. So from that process, I get 3 in the numerator and 2 in the denominator. Make both quantities have the same denominator. Make both pizzas have slices of the same size, and then combine the number of slices. Make both fractions have a denominator of 6 in this case, and then combine the numerators 8 plus 1, resulting in 9. And then if you can, simplify that. Let me represent this problem in pictures as well. I have 4/3 to start with. So I have what will have to be two pizzas in the end, because I can get 3/3 from the first pizza and one more third from the second pizza. So this picture would represent 4/3. And I would like to combine that with if I took a pizza cut into 6 slices and I had one out of those 6 slices. Combine it with 1/6. But right now, these pieces are different sizes. So what I will do is I will go into these pizzas on the left and I will cut them up a little bit more. Slice, slice, slice. So that now the pizzas are cut into 6 pieces. And I have in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of those 6 pieces. Now that the pieces are all the same size, I just have to combine the number of slices that I have in both piles. So 8 over here on the left plus 1 over here on the right. In total, if I put those pizzas together and put this little slice in and combine it with this pizza here, then I would have one full pizza from this guy on the left. And then this last slice would fill in this blank, giving me 1/2 of a pizza here. So in total, 1 and 1/2, or if you prefer to think about it as 1, 2, 3 halves, 1, 2, 3 halves would be the same result that we got using the calculations and the process that we gave above. For a final example, if we wanted to take the whole number 2 and then subtract 1/2 from that, once again, I could think about this as I have 2 full pizzas, and my goal is to remove half of a pizza from that. Remove half of a pizza. So all I have to do is take these pizzas and slice them in half so that one of those halves can be removed. And that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 3 halves of that pizza, just from the picture. If I wanted to do this calculation manually, not from the picture, then I could think about 2 as 2 divided by 1. At the moment, these two quantities do not have the same denominator. So what I could do is I could rewrite this first fraction and change it so that it has a denominator of 2, same as the other fraction. So for example, I could turn that 1 into a 2 by multiplying it by 2, and then I would do the same thing to the numerator. And that gives me 4 over 2 for that first quantity, and that reflects 1, 2, 3, 4 halves if I cut the 2 pizzas in half. And I'm taking away one of those halves. And if I subtract just the two numerators, 4 take away 1, I'm left with 3 halves out of the pizza, 3 halves. And that's exactly the same thing that we found via the picture earlier. If I have 2 full pizzas and I remove 1/2 of a pizza, that leaves me with 3 halves of a pizza, or 1 and 1/2 if you prefer.